Imagine a quiet evening in Charlotte, North Carolina, back in 1997. The air is still, and the city is settling into its nightly routine. Little do the residents know, a plot is unfolding that will soon shake the very foundations of their peaceful night. On October 4th, $17.3 million in cold, hard cash disappeared from the vault of Loomis Fargo & Co.'s regional office. Now you might be wondering about the mastermind behind this, but this wasn't any typical masked gang. This heist involved a vault supervisor, a girlfriend, an FBI informant, and a handful of others with motives as mysterious as the night itself. As the investigation unfolded, a tangled web of relationships, secrets, and unexpected alliances emerged. It turned out that this was no ordinary crime. It was a tale of betrayal, love, and the kind of audacity that makes your heart race. This leaves us thinking, what kind of audacious minds are behind these daring heists, and how did they manage to pull off such daring feats? That's what you'll be finding out in today's episode. So let's dive into the world where the line between right and wrong blurs, and where the quest for fortune takes unexpected, thrilling turns. This is the story of the well-known Loomis Fargo heist. In 1997, Charlotte, North Carolina, was changing a lot. It was trying to keep its old southern feel, but also becoming more like a big city. People lovingly called it the Queen City. The banks were gaining significance, and towering buildings began to grace the skyline, reflecting the city's ambitious dreams. Charlotte was nice back then, a mix of friendly southern vibes and a growing city feel. People were close-knit in their neighborhoods and proud of their community. But underneath, the city was feeling the stress of all the changes. New businesses were coming in, and things were different in both how the city looked and how people lived. Charlotte was dealing with the good and tough parts of moving forward. And then, the Loomis Fargo heist came and messed things up. The city's usual calm nights were shaken when news of the bold robbery spread. It wasn't just a crime against a big company. It hurt the community's feeling of safety. Now in today's Charlotte, things have kept changing. The banks are even more important, and the city looks more modern. People still feel connected, but memories of that night when the city faced a big challenge stick around. The Loomis Fargo heist is like a bookmark in Charlotte's story, reminding everyone of a time when things were very different. Understanding this background is crucial as we dig into the details of the heist itself. In the early hours of Sunday, October 5, 1997, a call to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg police set off a chain of events that would unveil one of the most significant heists in U.S. history. Tammy Ghantt reported her husband, David, missing after he failed to return home from his job at the Loomis Fargo warehouse. Upon arriving at the scene, an officer found David's truck outside the warehouse gate, the chain-link fence open, and the warehouse door ajar. Something was amiss. Loomis Fargo's supervisor confirmed David's absence, and a disturbing discovery unfolded. The vault was locked, but all the keys were gone, along with a company van. The FBI was called in as the magnitude of the crime became apparent. The missing money, belonging to federally insured banks, amounted to a staggering $17 million, mainly in untraceable $20 bills. The puzzling crime scene presented no immediate leads, a stark, empty warehouse with no signs of violence. As investigators pondered the mysterious circumstances, the urgency to find David heightened. The fear of potential harm or abduction lingered until they discovered David's actions on a security tape. Astonishingly, he had single-handedly emptied the vault, taking the loot with him. This audacious heist, marked by meticulous planning, left Loomis Fargo officials locked out of their own vault. The missing $17 million, with non-sequential serial numbers on unmarked bills, posed an untraceable challenge. The investigation intensified outside the warehouse as agents searched for any clue the robbers might have left behind. In a surprising turn, the heist showcased a calculated act that left the investigators grappling with questions and the city of Charlotte reeling from the audacity of a crime that unfolded right under their noses. The cat-and-mouse game between law enforcement and the elusive perpetrators had just begun, leaving the nation captivated by the sheer boldness of the Loomis Fargo heist. After a weekend of investigation, the FBI faced a challenging start. David Ghantt, along with a van and over $17 million in untraceable bills, had vanished. With a 24-hour head start, finding Ghantt became crucial for recovering the missing cash. Agents initiated conversations with Gantt's wife, Tammy, and one of his sisters to gather insights into his personal life. Tammy provided background information, emphasizing their simple living but admitted to some credit card debt. She couldn't fathom Gantt's involvement, suspecting he might have been forced or kidnapped. Despite extensive questioning, there were no noticeable red flags in Gantt's routine before the heist. He had been working long hours to manage bills, and Tammy maintained a strict budget. Nothing indicated an immediate motive or any deviation from his regular behavior. To locate Ghantt, authorities needed to circulate his photo and register him in the National Crime Database, but an indictment was required first. United States Attorney Mark Calloway expedited the process, securing an indictment for larceny within 48 hours of the theft. Operation Charlotte, as the investigation was now called, launched a nationwide manhunt, publicizing Gantt's image and urging people to report sightings. Knowing Ghantt had a substantial amount of cash, the FBI anticipated he would need ample space for transportation and storage. Airports and bus stations were secured, and Gantt's photos circulated widely. The FBI also checked rental agencies for any trucks rented by someone matching Gantt's description, but came up empty-handed. In the race against time, Operation Charlotte sought to unravel the mystery of Gantt's disappearance and the whereabouts of the missing millions. The media caught wind of the story, and everyone was waiting for updates on the audacious heist that had left all clueless. The FBI agents in Charlotte recalled a similar heist in 1997 in Jacksonville, Florida, involving a Loomis Fargo employee who had emptied a vault of over $18 million. Special Agent in charge William Perry, having worked on the previous case, recognized the urgency of locating David Ghantt quickly. In the Jacksonville heist, the thief stashed the money in North Carolina, prompting the agents to check public storage facilities. However, this lead led to a dead end. Facing a challenge, the FBI re-examined the weekend of the heist, complicated by the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR race in Charlotte. Sorting through the influx of out-of-town visitors, potential leads were challenging to discern. Concerns for Gantt's safety grew, contemplating the possibility of danger or harm from unknown accomplices. Desperate to find Ghantt before potential threats, a breakthrough finally came 2 days after his disappearance, offering a glimmer of hope to unravel the mystery. The plot thickened in the hunt for David Ghantt when a man cutting grass stumbled upon the unmarked Loomis van in the woods, less than 10 miles from the warehouse. To the FBI's surprise, the van held a significant amount of cash, $3.3 million, in small denomination bills that Ghantt had abandoned. Alongside the money, they discovered the missing surveillance tapes, Gantt's Loomis-issued pistol, and both sets of vault keys. The FBI speculated on reasons for leaving behind over $3 million, considering fear, time constraints, or space limitations. The recovered evidence sparked questions about hidden messages. Were the abandoned videotapes a taunt from Ghantt, or a diversion from an unknown partner? While the van and a portion of the money were found, Ghantt and the suspected accomplices remained elusive, with $14 million still unaccounted for. Charlotte, North Carolina, a thriving banking hub, became the backdrop for Gantt's audacious heist, pulling off the disappearance of $17 million. The FBI suspected collaboration but faced the challenge of identifying Gantt's unknown accomplices. As they looked into Gantt's background, conflicting images emerged, one of a hard-working, conscientious individual and another of a disgruntled worker harboring personal pressures. The investigation intensified as the FBI interviewed over 100 people, hoping to unearth leads on Ghantt's possible accomplices and understand his motives. Despite conflicting portrayals of Ghantt, the footage captured him methodically loading the van, posing the question of whether he acted independently or under coercion. The focus shifted to Ghantt's relationships, especially with a former coworker named Kelly Campbell. While external accounts depicted a close connection, Campbell denied such intimacy, presenting a discrepancy the FBI found challenging to resolve. Doubts about Campbell's credibility lingered, prompting the agents to scrutinize Ghantt's phone records. Analyzing the records revealed phone calls from inside Loomis to Ghantt's cell phone during the heist, suggesting collaboration. Ghantt's pager records further intrigued investigators, showing a recurring entry of 3 digits 143. The FBI deduced that someone on the other end of those calls was likely involved in the heist. In a labyrinth of contradictions and unanswered questions, the investigation into David Ghantt's disappearance and the missing millions continued, with the FBI navigating a complex web of relationships, motives, and hidden messages. 1 week after the Loomis Fargo heist, the FBI gathered, expecting a surge of tips following the broadcast of David Ghantt's picture on America's Most Wanted. However, due to a baseball game's extended coverage, the anticipated influx of information did not materialize. With $14 million still missing, the FBI faced a challenge in finding Ghantt, and hope dwindled as time passed. To keep the heist in the public eye, Loomis Fargo offered a $500,000 reward. The response was overwhelming, inundating the FBI with leads. A dedicated database was set up to manage the growing number of tips, ranging from suspicions about people spending money extravagantly to any potential connection to Ghantt. One lead pointed to Eric Payne, who was reportedly spending lavishly after the heist. However, upon investigation, the FBI found no direct link to Ghantt. In the midst of these leads, a pivotal tip emerged about Steve Chambers in nearby Gaston County. Chambers had purchased a $600,000 home in cash, raising suspicions. The thorough background check revealed erratic spending patterns, buying a truck, a BMW Roadster, and paying cash for various transactions. While this seemed like illegal drug money rather than Ghantt's loot, the police began monitoring the Chambers closely. Meanwhile, in Cramerton, the Chambers family moved into an exclusive gated community, perplexing the locals. Michelle Chambers claimed her husband, Steve, was a retired pro football player who struck it rich gambling in Atlantic City, selling laundromats in Texas. These stories, however, raised skepticism among the neighbors, including Mayor Kathy Biles. Michelle's method of payment added to suspicions as she consistently used packets of cash, mainly 20s, for every purchase. Chief David Young of the Cramerton Police, after receiving Mayor Biles's concerns, contacted Mark Rosie at the Charlotte FBI. Rosie revealed the FBI's growing suspicion of the Chambers in connection to the Loomis heist. Steve Chambers, besides claiming to be a retired football player, had a history as a small-time criminal with ties to the mafia, known for passing bad checks and causing disturbances. Despite his extravagant spending, the FBI lacked concrete evidence tying Chambers to the missing $14 million. As the investigation shifted focus onto Chambers, the FBI grappled with sorting through the multitude of tips. Chambers became a central figure due to his conspicuous lifestyle, but the challenge persisted in establishing a direct connection to the Loomis Fargo heist and David Ghantt's disappearance. Weeks after David Ghantt disappeared with $17 million from Loomis Fargo, the FBI faced challenges in tracking him and his accomplices. Sorting through numerous reports of suspicious spending around Charlotte and checking bank records for cash transactions proved time-consuming. Despite the difficulty, the FBI discovered 2 crucial suspicious activity reports filed by bank tellers. One involved Michelle Chambers depositing a large sum of cash into a bank, generating suspicion. However, this information didn't directly link the Chambers to the stolen Loomis money. The focus then shifted to Steve and Michelle Chambers, who were observed making substantial cash deposits and acquiring safe deposit boxes. Surveillance efforts, both on land and in the air, intensified. However, in the small town of Cramerton, where the Chambers lived, residents began noticing unfamiliar vehicles and planes, raising concerns and prompting Chief David Young to manage community perceptions. The FBI feared the Chambers might catch wind of the investigation. To their surprise, the couple remained oblivious, continuing their extravagant spending spree. As Christmas approached, the Chambers bought a truck and a $43,000 diamond ring in cash. Yet the FBI struggled to definitively link their spending to the stolen Loomis cash. As the holidays passed, surveillance continued, with the FBI cautious not to alert the Chambers. Steve Chambers, with a close-knit circle, proved challenging to investigate. The FBI delved into yearbooks and discovered a potential link to David Ghantt through Kelly Campbell, Gantt's friend. Kelly Campbell, however, refused a polygraph test and displayed nervous behavior during interviews, raising suspicions. The agents, though lacking concrete evidence, considered Campbell, the Chambers, and another suspect, Eric Payne, as potential accomplices. After 3 months of investigating, David Ghantt remained elusive, leaving the FBI with several suspects, but no conclusive evidence connecting them to the Loomis heist. The Chambers, seemingly unaware of the scrutiny, continued their spending spree, even buying a furniture store in 1998. The FBI, despite their best efforts, faced the challenge of establishing clear links between the suspects, the stolen money, and Gantt's whereabouts. As the investigation extended into 1998, the agents had suspected but lacked the critical evidence to solve the case and find David Ghantt. 3 months post-heist, Michelle Chambers and Kelly Campbell were spotted together at a furniture store, providing the FBI a significant lead. Campbell drove a new minivan, and by tracing its license plate, agents connected her to Steve Chambers. As the FBI continued surveillance around Charlotte, Michelle Chambers stood out as the one handling bank deposits and managing their extravagant lifestyle. In January 1998, during a routine $8,000 deposit, Michelle was caught using a money band from Loomis, linking the Chambers directly to the stolen cash. Instead of immediate arrests, the FBI chose to wait, hoping the Chambers would lead them to David Ghantt. The decision proved crucial when Kelly Campbell revealed in a wiretapped conversation that she had received a page from Ghantt, confirming he was alive. With phone taps in place, the FBI monitored various conversations, hoping to gather evidence. Chambers and Campbell, however, spoke mostly about mundane matters, making it challenging for the FBI to gain actionable information. In a twist, Campbell disclosed that Ghantt had contacted her, signaling a need for more money. This revelation surprised the FBI, considering Ghantt had stolen $17 million. Chambers, wanting to eliminate Ghantt, planned to meet with Campbell at their furniture store to discuss the situation. Amidst this, the FBI secured a breakthrough when Michelle Chambers unknowingly used a Loomis money band during a deposit. The money band had the handwritten initials of a Loomis employee, connecting the stolen cash directly to Loomis Fargo. With the crucial evidence in hand, the FBI now faced a dilemma, whether to make immediate arrests or wait for a lead to David Gantt's location. They opted for patience. As the wiretaps continued, the FBI overheard discussions about setting up a bank account in the Cayman Islands and hiring a bodyguard. Despite the mundane nature of most conversations, the agents persisted in the hope of finding a lead to Ghantt. Kelly Campbell and Steve Chambers eventually discussed Gantt's impending call, arranging a coded numeric page to determine when and where Ghantt would call. The FBI aimed to capture Gantt's voice on tape. However, when the scheduled call arrived, Kelly Campbell failed to appear at the designated payphone. Disappointed, the FBI prepared to end the wiretap. Just as they were about to conclude, Campbell informed Chambers that she had received a page from David Ghantt. This time, the FBI was ready. They intercepted the call, capturing Gantt's voice and confirming he was still alive. Although they couldn't trace the call, Hearing Gantt's voice provided crucial information. Now aware that Ghantt was alive, the FBI faced a race against time as Chambers and Campbell plotted to eliminate Ghantt. They aimed to capture Gantt's voice again to trace his location. In a surprising turn, Kelly Campbell revealed Gantt's location during a conversation with Steve Chambers. Ghantt was in Cozumel, Mexico. With this information, the FBI finally knew where Ghantt had been hiding since the heist. As Ghantt continued to request money, Chambers planned to hire a hitman named Mike McKinney to eliminate Ghantt. However, the FBI, now equipped with knowledge of the plot, moved swiftly to prevent Gantt's potential murder. Agents flew to Mexico, where Ghantt was arrested without incident on March 1, 1998, at Playa del Carmen, a city near Cancun. 5 months after the heist, the FBI had identified the key players, located Ghantt, and intervened before the planned hit took place. Post-arrest, Ghantt was flown back to Charlotte. Now in custody, he shared details of how the gang executed the heist. Ghantt, a former Loomis Fargo employee, was convinced by Kelly Campbell to steal $17 million. Steve Chambers orchestrated the plan, involving accomplices, false IDs, and meticulous research on Loomis Fargo's security vulnerabilities. Chambers ensured Gantt's escape out of the country, taking care of false IDs and recruitment of gang members. The gang's primary motive was to escape the initial investigation bubble, and Ghantt, discontent with his financial situation, agreed to the audacious plan. In a tale of heist gone wrong, the FBI, through careful surveillance and wiretapping, managed to unravel the intricate plot, saving Ghantt from potential harm and bringing the key players to justice. David Ghantt had a simple plan. On October 4, 1997, he was scheduled to close the facility alone. Early that morning, he kissed his wife goodbye, knowing he wouldn't be back anytime soon. The gang, including Steve Chambers, Scott Ghantt, and Kelly Campbell, planned to wait for Ghantt to be alone at Loomis after the last truck came in. Ghantt, unaware of their plan, faced the challenge of dealing with a new trainee and had to wait for the right moment to be alone in the warehouse. After the last truck arrived later than expected, Ghantt and the trainee were the only ones left in the warehouse. Exploiting the trainee's inexperience, Ghantt locked the vault, and once the trainee left, he began his heist. Ghantt stole millions from the vault, meticulously packing cash into a company van. Unbeknownst to him, his every move was caught on tape. Outside, the gang, anxious and nervous, waited across the street for Ghantt to finish. The plan was for Ghantt to drive the cash out of Loomis around 5 p.m., but he faced unexpected delays. When he finally left, the gang, led by Chambers and Kelly, followed him to Reynolds & Reynolds, a printing company, where Eric Payne awaited with a rented van. Ghantt handed the key to the van to Payne, not realizing they had a problem. They didn't know which key opened the Loomis van. The gang struggled to find the right key, while Ghantt and Campbell drove off with millions. Despite their chaotic start, Ghantt and Campbell faced another issue. There were no flights to Mexico from Columbia Airport. With a last-minute decision, they headed to Atlanta. The gang, still grappling with the key situation, tried desperate methods to open the van. In the end, they had to leave behind some cash as they ditched the van and hid the money in blue barrels. In Mexico, Ghantt and Campbell started enjoying their newfound wealth. However, Gantt's financial troubles began when he couldn't carry his share of the loot. He relied on the gang to send him cash, and by the end of October, he was running low. To deliver money to Ghantt, Steve Chambers sent Mike McKinney, Bruno. McKinney's orders were not only to provide cash, but also to keep an eye on Ghantt until the gang could find the right time to eliminate him. When McKinney handed over a small packet of money, Ghantt became suspicious. He called Campbell, realizing he might never see the millions he thought were his. Soon, Ghantt faced a bigger problem when a stranger in Cancun recognized him as the guy who stole $20 million in North Carolina. Panicking, Ghantt knew he needed to make some changes. Gantt's financial troubles and the risk of being recognized began to unravel his simple plan. David Ghantt, after stealing millions, laid low, reading comics and listening to music. A stranger named Robert, claiming to be a friend of Bruno, Mike McKinney, warned Ghantt that people in Charlotte wanted to kill him. Ghantt, realizing he might never see his stolen money, paid Robert $2,000 for the warning. Concerned for his safety, Ghantt changed hotels and used aliases. Fearing the gang's plan to kill him, he stayed indoors during the day and only ventured out at night. However, he still needed money, so he made a mistake by asking Kelly for help, revealing his location in Cozumel. This slip-up led both the gang and the FBI to discover Gantt's whereabouts. The FBI, led by Agent Rosie, arrested Ghantt. Despite being in custody, Gantt's revelation about his relationship with Kelly intrigued the FBI, raising questions about her involvement. As the plane landed in Charlotte, the urgency to arrest the rest of the gang before they found out about Gantt's capture became apparent. On March 2, 1998, 5 months after the Loomis Fargo heist, the FBI and local police arrested members of the gang. Steve Chambers was informed of a break-in at his furniture store, leading to his arrest. Michelle Chambers, who had been sworn to secrecy, was also arrested. Simultaneously, the FBI visited Kelly Campbell's home, confiscating items that seemed suspicious, including credit cards, appliances, jewelry, and cash. Mike McKinney, Eric Payne, and Scott Ghantt were also arrested in various locations. During the arrests, the FBI seized over $1 million in cash and numerous items bought with stolen money. The Chambers mansion yielded $720,000 in cash and 460 items. Of a total of 21 defendants, 20 pleaded guilty and 1 pleaded not guilty. Jeffrey Guller, Chambers' attorney, was convicted of money laundering. The FBI recovered nearly $10 million from 24 safe deposit boxes linked to Chambers. The stolen money was found buried, stored in drawers, a shoebox, and even in a blue barrel from the night of the robbery. As the gang faced legal consequences, Kelly Campbell, cooperating with authorities, received the lightest sentence of 5 years and 10 months. David Ghantt, once believing in a life of luxury with Kelly, was sentenced to 7 years and 6 months. In February 1999, an auction of over 1,000 items bought with stolen money drew more than 5,000 people. The proceeds, around $360,000, were handed over to Lloyd's of London, Loomis Fargo's insurance company. The aftermath revealed the gang's lack of foresight, focusing only on the end result of being wealthy. The FBI successfully apprehended all involved and recovered not only the stolen money, but also every item purchased with it. David Ghantt, despite losing everything, remained unapologetic, expressing that he would do it again given the opportunity. The gang members faced not only prison time but also ongoing financial repercussions due to restitution orders. The auction became a surreal event, showcasing the lavish items purchased with ill-gotten gains. In the end, the FBI considered it a challenging case but successfully captured the entire Loomis gang, delivering justice and recovering both the money and the gang's extravagant acquisitions. This heist is a reminder that ill-gotten gains never lead to lasting triumphs. Don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping real-life cases. See you in the next one.